Welcome to today's podcast, where we'll be exploring the fascinating journey of how Zsolt achieved 10 million downloads of his AI app. Zsolt is a tenacious programmer and a dear friend, and he never let go of his dream to create something extraordinary. After 25 failed side projects and 8 years, Zsolt learned valuable lessons from each failure. Whether it was trying to save the world through a charity project, or creating a rapping robot, or even a bed boat, Zsolt's creativity knew no bounds. In this discussion, Zsolt and I discuss the lessons he learned through these experiments, and how he managed to build an AI app that has achieved more than 10 million downloads. Along with his girlfriend, Zsolt now enjoys building his projects with a team of 8 and fueling his future and his dream and his passion for entrepreneurship. So join us as we delve into Zsolt's story in designing, building, and running successful AI-powered mobile apps. Hello, Zsolt, and welcome to the podcast. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Hey, Samson, thanks for having me.
I'm delighted to explore your journey of being an entrepreneur because you're a very inspiring character and somebody that I feel very fortunate to have met. And my first question to you is, why did you first want to become an entrepreneur? What was that spark that inspired you in the beginning?
It's a fun question because I didn't really want to become an entrepreneur. I just had ideas and I was curious to make them. So it was more like a journey of creating my visions, my projects. And later on, I discovered that this is called entrepreneurship, and it comes with a lot of skills that I didn't have. So that was my long journey to become entrepreneur while doing it the hard way.
Oh, that's beautiful. I see you very much as a visionary and a dreamer with a lot of fantastic ideas. And it's interesting to hear that you took that approach, you had your dreams, and then you were turning them into reality, and then realizing that, hey, wait a minute, that's entrepreneurship. That is creating businesses. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So yeah, the journey is quite interesting because I'm a programmer for the last 15 years. And 4 years school, 3 years university, and afterwards I started working as a full-time employee. But ever since I worked as a full-time employee, I always wanted to quit my job. So I watched the social media movie where Zuckerberg was bringing few beers, and overnight he created Facebook, and it was such an inspiration for me. Like, I want to be that guy. My idea will be exactly like that. So I was inspired by that, and I had several of these crazy ideas that I wanted to have them successful overnight. So, but nobody was standing in front of my door clapping while I released the project. So this is not how it worked. So I jumped into the next project, believing that will be the next big thing. But of course, you know how it goes. There's so many things that one needs to be doing when releasing a project. It's really rarely happening that you create something and it just goes viral, like in that movie, like Hollywood portrays. So what ended up happened is I learned over the way, after each project, I learned something valuable that I took with myself to the next project. So first, I wanted to save the world with a charity website. I was overlooking marketing and like how much budget do I need to spend on it. I didn't even know that this exists. I handed out flyers to people and I didn't even know that marketing exists as a profession. So I learned about it, and the next project I thought about it, so I wanted to create something that doesn't require that big of a marketing. So I ended up creating 25 different projects over the span of 8 years. And my success started when I created Android applications. So 3 years ago, I started to create apps with the vision of creating a lip syncing automation that can create you can make anybody sing anything easily with an automated lip syncing project. I had that dream. I made it, and it didn't become successful. And somehow, despite all the odds, the simplest projects of mine, Android projects, became successful. I didn't even expect them to become successful, and suddenly, like, it's like 100 downloads, 200 downloads. And these projects were simple and like one button apps like video stabilizer, video to photo, blur face. These things that I didn't prepare them, they just blew up. And this is how I started my journey of like becoming an entrepreneur. I was joking at the beginning that, oh, now I have money for a coffee. Oh, now I have money for a food, like in a month, you know? And
now you have millions of downloads for your apps. But I'm curious,
yeah.
Can you tell me, why is it that you think that these apps with one feature, with one button, were the ones that took off? What was the insight that you learned from that process?
It's as simple as, if you have a one button app, you make people's life easier. And if you have multiple buttons, then you confuse people. That's one of the bigger lessons that I learned when I created this lip syncing automation. Even though I'm also a video editor, so it was obvious for me how to use it, because I also created it, but it has so many buttons, like an airplane. So imagine like an airplane or an Xbox controller, like as a comparison, like which one is simpler to use, to press the X button and the joystick, or to have like 255 buttons on the dashboard and try to figure out what does what. So this is also relevant for mobile apps. Simplicity is key. So the simpler it is, the more easier the user can find the next button, next finish, then the easier they would be getting the aha moment. Aha, this is what the app does. Okay, now I get it. Let me use it again and again. But if you confuse them up front, they will be like, yeah, whatever, next, like download the next app. So yeah, that's my biggest takeaway.
I think
Simple as that, one button app.
I think that's a fantastic insight. And I know from personal experience how tempting it can be to basically try and add in as many features as possible and make an app appeal to as many people as possible. And it seems like that is a good strategy. But actually, in reality, you want to be making the simplest possible app that is valuable to other people. And you need to be first putting out the concept of a minimum viable product. So what is the simplest, most minimum version of the product you're creating? So I really appreciate that insight. Are you going to add something?
Yeah, so minimal viable product indeed. So it's really easy to get caught up with the mindset of, I'm not going to release it until this is perfect. So I've done it before, and this is really not the way to go. So the faster you will release the app, the faster the market will respond to you. So it's not about what you envision or what you create, it's all about what the user wants, and this can be only seen after you release. Let me give you an example. So video stabilizer, I released it in 4 hours. So I spent 4 hours of development time, and afterwards I realized that there are hundreds of downloads and people are complaining that it has bugs, it has errors, and there was a demand for it. I realized after I released it, and there were so many downloads that people were like begging me in the review section with 1-star reviews, hey, fix it please because we want to use it. You know, like it's just the way that you can create something. And then there's the other side where, for example, I created this lip syncing automation with so much care and so much work, months of work, and I released it and there has barely any downloads. And I just prepared it so much, and then the market decided like, hey, we actually don't really search for lip syncing automation, you know? So it's really
fantastic.
important to really...
Yeah, super relevant point. I saw recently a course creator who was pre-selling his courses, and this is an example of validating the demand before you're putting out a product, or even if you're before you're even putting an MVP out, you're actually pre-selling the product to validate that people want this and to start to get feedback. And I think this is also good from another perspective, is that you start to build an audience and you can actually engage with them directly and get people to give you honest feedback, which is such a key process in the entrepreneurial journey. And I just wanted to jump back for 1 second, because you mentioned that you went through 25 projects. And I want to hear, how did you stay motivated to go through each of these projects, even though they were not reaching as much success as you might have dreamed of?
Well, it's an interesting question. I had a vision of what it could be. And while developing it, I realized that it's not gonna be that what I envisioned. But meanwhile, somehow, how my mind works, I always have like few ideas every week. And while working on the project, I already had several candidates for the next project. And I always stay motivated by envisioning the end result, the end form, the last form of the project, the ultimate one. So how will it affect people? How will I like it? Like, I imagine it holding it in my hands or having it on my phone, and the results that I can make with it. So that's how I keep myself motivated. So having said this, it's really interesting for me to develop it. So I do not consider it as work. It's more like something as a pleasure, as a hobby for me to make them come true. To me, like, of course, there are some boring parts of it, but this vision, this thing that I imagine it in my hands, that helps me a lot to stay motivated and just keep focused until I get it done, get it right.
Oh, that's a very beautiful mindset to have the focus on creating something and putting it into the world, of actually manifesting your ideas and bringing them to reality. So I really appreciate that from you, Zsolt. Actually, it's one thing that I have noticed about you that is particularly inspiring, is your desire to bring ideas to fruition and to have this almost as a focus of your process. And I wanted to ask you a little bit about if people are listening, are thinking they want to start their own entrepreneurial journey, they want to start creating their own pieces of software, micro software projects related to AI. What advice would you give them, or what advice would you give yourself, say, a few years ago?
Well, one of the biggest advice that I can think of is don't try to find the technology and then try to find a problem for the technology. So this is the wrong way to go. What should be the right way to go is to find the problem and then find the right technology for the problem, not the other way around. I got stuck into this mistake quite a lot of times. So let me give you an example. I figured out that there's a face detection app by Google MLKit. And I was like, okay, there are some landmarks on the face. Let me try to use it and create the face drumming application. So I tried to take the technology and apply it to a problem that I came up with. It's not an existing problem. It's just like I tried to fit the technology that I figured out how it works. Like, this is one of the example. And of course,
Wow.
you know how it goes. The market wasn't ready for this yet.
Can you just elaborate on what that concept is? It's a face drumming app, did you say? So you can like tap different parts of your face and it will create like the hi-hat and the bass drum.
Yeah, there are drums on each part. Like, there's the north, there's the south, there's the west, there's the east. And as you move your head, you rotate, the face tracking app will like poof, ka, poof, ka. Because I thought about it, like, isn't it the most intuitive motion that you nod your head while you drum? So I wanted to like illustrate this motion with sound, and I was like, okay, this is one of the best apps. Nobody thought about it. It's gonna go viral. But you know how it goes. You know the drill. the market is not asking for it, usually it's not gonna be asking for it. But in my mind, it was one of the biggest projects because like nobody thought about it. There's no such app on the market yet. And usually for this invention, it's not gonna go by itself. You should do marketing, and I am not yet good in marketing. So that's one of the things that why these projects didn't go viral. But another example with this is I figured out that there's a technology with pose detection. So I wanted to create something with pose detection. So I created a punching animation app that you put down your phone and you use your body to poof, ka, and then there will be sound effects when you punch and animations when you punch. And I was like, this is it. This is the app. This is when it goes viral. TikTok videos, we will go crazy about it. But like it's the same thing. The market didn't ask for it. I didn't even research about it. I was just seeing the technology and I tried to figure out a problem for it. And this is the wrong way to go. You should first have the real problem, the genuine problem. And one of the biggest advice I can give is that you should be a domain expert, or one of your co-founders should be a domain expert in the field that you are doing. So we are doing photo video editing. I'm myself a photo video editor. So I already knew how to play around with these fields. So before I started, so I knew the pain points of the users. If I wouldn't have known it, I should have learned it before or while doing it, which makes it a bit harder, the journey. So I'm not gonna start an app for doctors yet, because I'm not a doctor and I don't have yet a doctor in my team. That's how I should have a doctor in my team to start such an app, because I don't know anything about that domain. So that's why I started apps with photo, video, and like music, because I'm also dancing with the punching stuff. That was a mistake, but yeah.
So let me summarize what you've just shared there, which is an excellent insight. That what you need to do when you are trying to create a product is that you need to have the problem first and then make a solution for that with the technology. It's not that you have a cool piece of technology that does something and then you're trying to find out exactly how you could apply that. Because when you do that, you're trying to put a square peg in a round hole and you're trying to invent a market for something. And you might get lucky, but it's not as successful as making sure that there is a real need that exists in people's lives and actually curating the product to fit that exact use case. And then you went on to say that one of the most important things is that you need to have some experience in that domain. And I think that makes a lot of sense, that how can you sell something? How can you market something? How can you understand a problem or a solution if you have not experienced it yourself in some way? And I think that's a fantastic piece of information to share with people, and really relevant. And it's certainly, I see a lot of perhaps YouTubers or people online who are talking about things that have zero experience in. There's like these 20-year-olds who are telling us how to like flip houses on YouTube, and they've never bought a house in their life. And so actually developing the authority first, developing the skills, the understanding, and then moving into how to create a problem, how to create a solution for that is the way to go. So I think that's a wonderful anecdote that you shared with us. So I'm quite curious about... Carry on.
Sorry. Yeah, authority is one of the biggest things, because people will not believe you the first time you say something that you should not be saying. Like the people that are able to track it down, you lose them immediately. And like one of the biggest thing that I'm also searching from professionals is that why would they state such things? Like, what did they do? What did they research? And indeed, this is you should have authority. That's one of the you said it right.
And I suppose I was just wondering here, just in my own mind, I had a thought come up and I wanted to share it with you to get your opinion. So my theory is that many people who say are online entrepreneurs, who are video makers, perhaps have a background in gaming or creating tech products, are more likely to create products and services. But as we said earlier with the example, say with a doctor, my theory is that doctors are less likely to actually create products and entrepreneurial services and businesses based around their domains. So I'm wondering that I completely agree with this mindset. It's definitely something that I've implemented myself with my own projects. But is there an argument to be made that there are less saturated markets in, say, less traditionally entrepreneurial domains?
I would say yes, like based on what I hear from people that they have problems with systems. I mean, I'm coming from Hungary, Romania, and over here there's a section in the doctor's section, for example, that there are problems because they didn't care about the software that they created. So there are indeed, as you say, easier markets and harder markets. This like to figure out what is the easier or harder market. I don't think I would be the best person to speak about this because I never done another type of app project other than like website apps. I didn't really develop for doctors, but what we do with apps, how we go forwards to identify the easier or harder markets is we do keyword research. So that's one of the things that you can identify on what there is, what people search for, and then decide which direction your development will go. So this is one domain.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So one of the other things to consider is there are two types of businesses. Either you are doing B2B or B2C. So business to business or business to client. We are in the business to client. So in our case, we do not even see our customers. We don't need to wake up for the calls. We can just ignore, like, of course you see the customers from the review section, you can communicate with them, but it's not like you are face to face and you have a commitment for them. But if you do a B2B project, there's more money apparently in the B2B project, but it's a bit harder because you need to commit to them, to the calls, to the deadlines. So comparing to the project for doctors, for example, it would be a B2B business because you are developing apps or websites or platforms or systems for businesses, for doctor, the cabinets, for so this is a bit harder, but on the other hand, if you get one client, you can get more money than compared to a B2C product where you can get how much money for a weekly subscription. So
yeah, absolutely, it makes a lot of sense to explore those different approaches. And now I'm very curious because earlier we mentioned a little bit about how during your entrepreneurial journey that you met different challenges as you were making these new projects and realized that your skill set needed to be developed in different areas. That at one point you realized when you were marketing your charity app that giving out flyers is maybe not the best approach for marketing a app like this. Well, maybe it was. But I'm curious about now how you're scaling your business. You've grown tremendously over the last few years. You've been employing more people and building out further systems. What is your personal approach for recognizing that you have a deficiency in some domain, and how do you then go about learning those skills and implementing them into your business?
It has been a journey because at the beginning I was a lone wolf. So I was like, I can do anything, I will do anything because I'm also a human, I can learn it from YouTube, from all the tutorials, I will do it. But over time, how it also became successful is that I teamed up with my girlfriend, my future wife, and we created a team of two. So I was the developer and she was the marketeer, the product match finder, the keyword researcher. She did all the things that were boring for me, but she done it and it was necessary. So without her, I wouldn't have grown this much. So one of the key advice is that if you lack some domains, and if you feel like you're weaker in development or marketing, you should find your other half. It's not necessarily should be your girlfriend. It can be a stranger from the internet that you can trust, of course, or your friend from school. Like, you can team up with your ex-colleague. You should team up. This is one of the advices that I should have given to myself back in the days, to team up with somebody as early as possible. So how I go now against the lack of proficiency that we have, is usually we hire a consultant for a high price. So for example, we hired somebody about marketing, and he told us with tens of years of experience of how we should do stuff. And few hours he explained us, and now we're implementing it. So the more I'm missing,
Can
the
I
more
just jump
people...
in? I just want
Yeah.
to, because this is something I've been doing more of recently, is finding experts in certain domains and then asking them specific questions. But I'm curious, how do you go about finding consultants for different expertise?
Well, we are not yet professional about it, because I mean, we have the company 1.5 years ago, and we just started hiring like half year ago professionals. So we are still learning, but we go on Upwork, we go on Fiverr, we post job offers, and or we try to search for experts in the domain. And we have a free free call about what is the problem and what can they offer. And based on that call, we decide whether we should go forwards or not. So I can count on my two hands like how many of these experts we still hired from outside the company. Of course, we are 8 people, so we have 2 programmers, content and designer and product owner, and so on. So, but outside the company, these experts that we are hiring, there are not so many of them. We hired a few, and we are planning to hire more. So this is a mindset shift that is happening right now. It's also new for me that the things that I don't know, I should ask from somebody that knows, so I can unblock myself and I can go to the results faster than I would go by myself.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the best ways for us to save time and buy time in our lives, imagining that a time is our most precious resource, is that we pay other people to get them to tell us what mistakes to avoid or what mistakes they made so that we can avoid them more quickly. And it makes a lot of sense to try and find people who are further down the road than you. And you can essentially, I like the paradigm that you can target people who are about 5x further than you currently are. So if you're doing, say, $1 million in revenue, you can look at people who are doing 5 million. Or if you're at about 200K in revenue, people you can target are at about $1 million in revenue per year. So this is a really good principle that you can use to accelerate your growth, is looking for people who are steps ahead of you and taking their experience and implementing them straight into your business. And it's something I'm doing quite a lot at the moment. I mean, I'm really actually trying to accelerate how I'm doing that. But one of the challenges I have is actually finding really good people who I can get on the phone, on a call, and actually... Yeah, I've had a few calls and I was like, wow, that was a waste of time. That was a waste of money. That I will never call this person again. But then I've had a couple that have been absolutely excellent. And then there's also been one I've had I had a call with this guy every couple of weeks for a couple of months. And then it got to the point where basically I almost caught up to his own level of experience, where basically I understood all of the gap between my knowledge and his knowledge. And at that point I was like, okay, now I need a new level of consulting. But I'm curious now, like, actually, I'm very interested to hear, like, what is the bottlenecks in your business right now? Like, where are the areas that you're looking to overcome deficiencies, to make new hires, or to get specific feedback on consulting?
Well, one of the next new hire is going to be somebody that is as good or maybe even better programmer than me. So as of now, I am the most experienced programmer in the team, and I'm also like responsible for invoices, for administration stuff, for planning, and also programming. And so this is something that I want to take myself out from this and have a helicopter view of the project and the product, so I would be able to look more from technical as from a planning view of the project or which direction we are going, instead of me needing to implement those small things in the project. Like, I'm thinking about it, I envision what should it be, and then next thing I know, I'm doing it, and 1 week later I'm coming back again to the higher up, and it's really hard to context switch. So this is one of the things that I wanna nail, to get somebody on the team that can do these things, these really juicy things, like setting up servers, connecting infrastructures, planning the architecture. So yeah, this is something that is gonna happen, I think, in the next half year, and afterwards, yeah, I think we are kind of full. We need somebody. Well, for now, marketing, we are doing consulting. Maybe we will need somebody on the team in full-time marketeer. We already have a designer, we have programmer, we have content creator. So kind of all the areas are fulfilled. What we might also hire somebody is like somebody that is overseeing the company itself and optimizing our processes as an outsider, because as you're inside the company, like a mentor, like company optimizer, because you're inside your company, so you might not see the flaws that happens inside, and it's really great to have an outside the box look on what you're doing, and to guide you towards a more optimal way of doing company.
Yeah, I love a couple of points you made there, and I want to pick up on the theme of self-awareness, of business awareness, of a couple of things that you said there. The first one was that you want to allow yourself to have this helicopter view of all of your projects. You can maintain the strategic overview of where you're going in your business. And to do that, you want to remove yourself from actually working in the business. And so you're actually putting yourself to be working on the business. And I thought that was very beautiful, because it sounds like that will allow you to have a better perspective on navigating the entire ship. So instead of being like down in the under the floorboards, like fixing the holes on the side of the ship, you're actually at the helm and directing it. You're navigating the clouds and the storms that are coming. And then what I particularly liked is actually how that related to the second point you made, which is about getting someone to come into the business who is not part of your team, so they can help identify any limitations, any mindset shift, any processes that could be improved with the way that you're dealing with your entire business. And I particularly appreciated the idea of bringing someone in from an external point of view, because they will not have the personal attachment to the business, they will not have the history with it, and that will give them an ability to actually see it more fully from all perspectives. And I think this is a fundamentally important role, I think, in all of our lives, to recognize where are we not seeing ourselves, our business, our projects from the true perspective. Where are we deluded? What parts are we missing? And I wanted to acknowledge you for this wonderful self-reflection that you are implementing, not only on yourself, but in your business.
Thank you. Yeah, so one of the things that I need to mention is that like, I'm not alone in this. So a lot of credit goes to my partner, my girlfriend, my business partner, and like, she helped us to raise all this thing that we have right now. So back in the time, she came up with the idea of photo enhancer and these AI related apps, and then I implemented it. She made sure that the keywords are correct, the research is there.
And just tell us exactly what that app is, photo enhancer, so the people listening are aware of what that app does.
So yeah, 1.5 years ago, let me go back a bit just to have a full story about it. So okay, 3 years ago, I started the Android apps. I created like 15 different apps, and 3 of them became successful. And of course, slowly it became it became more profitable. First a coffee, then a lunch, and then it went up and up until we reached 1,000 euros a month. And that was the point what I told myself, that's when I'm gonna quit my full-time job. Even though it's not gonna be enough to sustain our digital nomad lifestyle, but it's gonna be more than enough to give us a boost to work. We had savings for like 6 to 8 months, and afterwards either we would have gone back to parents or gone back to find ourselves a job, but we did quit. And then what happened when we quit? My girlfriend Mila already researched the market, and she found out that there's a big trend about AI photo enhancing. And I didn't really believe, like, I didn't really want to go that way, because it required us to have hardware, computer, GPUs to run AI on. So I was like, hey, Mila, you know that I kind of proved you that we can do mobile apps without having an external dependency to have an infrastructure that needs to process these computers, because these heavy AI would not run on your phone. Your phone is too weak for this. So you need like these really hardcore GPUs, like a 3090 or 2080 Ti RTX cards. And I was against it, but then she convinced me with the graph of how well this trend goes, and how good of a wave, of a tsunami it is. And I've seen it, and okay, damn it, let's buy the computer. So we went to Amsterdam, we bought a computer with double GPU, water-cooled computer. I remember I went after it and it was like 50 kilograms. I went after it with a backpack. I was like, okay, I remember these computers. I had one in my childhood. It fitted in my backpack, but this one was a monster. And I needed to buy like wheels for it to push home. All of this, well, luckily the Netherlands is really built for also the handicap level. So I could push the wheels really well. So good, kudos for Netherlands for helping. And I did the transport, and the development started. So 1.5 months, we almost didn't even go out from the house. It was like I already said to my colleagues that I'm gonna quit. And at that point, I didn't really log into my work. I just was all in. I was like going nuts with this project. So 1.5 months later, we released the project, and we left the computer there home with my ex-flatmate in the basement. And this computer processed the photos of the users. So what it did, it enhanced the photos. So from blurry to sharp, from scratchy to not scratchy, from black and white to colorful. And this computer did the processing. So we built some system that there's a queuing system in the cloud, and that cloud is also connected to many computers. And there was, of course, at the beginning one computer, and of course there were some of the cases when the internet was down or the electricity was down. So we were trying to contact my ex-flatmates continuously. Please wake up, please go down to the basement, please restart the computer. It was quite a fun period, and sleepless nights, because I also set up an alarm on my phone whenever the computer is down to have the most annoying sound that it possibly can emit, like and in the middle of the night even it would wake me up. It didn't care what I do. If I was in a meeting, in a cinema, anywhere I was, my phone was ringing that the computers are down and I need to jump either to rent something from the cloud or try to wake up my flatmate. So that was the two options. Quite fun times. But afterwards, things got more stable, because we seen the trend, the traffic going. So the first month we got 80,000 downloads without us even marketing it, and
wow!
It just
in your
blew up.
first month with zero
In our first
marketing.
month, zero marketing, no ads, no nothing, no Reddit posts. Just put it out as AI photo enhancer. Now the app is.
And that's just to clarify. That was because you had validated that there is this increasing demand for this type of app based on the keyword research that you've been doing, and you managed to time it perfectly, basically, and get in early, just as the demand was coming, but before other people had released a similar app.
Exactly. So we were the third to release on Android. So as you would search photo AI photo enhancer or just photo enhancer, sometimes we did come up first. So there were two other competitors, and of course, right now there are like tens of them. But we, because we were there at the beginning, we are still on the top three, top five. So we are still there. On iOS, we were not this lucky because we released on iOS like few months later, and there were already like tens of photo enhancers on iOS. And it was really hard to even tell friends like, hey, download our photo enhancer. And they wrote it and they needed to scroll down, and then they found us. But yeah, somehow also I need to mention that iOS has more financial benefits than Android, at least 10 times. So it is, I can imagine why we had such a competition in iOS, because everybody wanted to develop on iOS first, and that's how it was so crowded, more crowded than Android.
But it's also important to recognize the importance of what you did, which was moving quickly when you identify a objective, an opportunity, and releasing something very fast. And the benefit of having that first mover advantage actually sets you up for success down the road. So I think it's a great lesson to remember, to get that MVP out, test something very quickly, and move quickly.
Yeah, as quick as you can, because these waves are coming and going, and if you catch them, you're in. But if you don't, you just missed it, and you should search for the next one. It's like surfing in a way. Like you just stay in the water, you see what wave is coming, and you're gonna ride them or not.
Yeah, that's great. I love that analogy. I think Richard Branson said that you have to position yourself for the next wave. You can't go chasing a wave that's already passed. You've got to get in the right place and plan for it, prepare for it, and be ready to ride that wave. It's also a bit like buses, I think, isn't it? There's always another opportunity coming along. So if you missed one, it's okay. Like, forget about it, but get ready, because you know that there are more business opportunities just around the corner, and you need to be making sure you're looking in the right direction. You're ready to jump on and ride that opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there were also waves that we knew that they are coming and they are big, but we missed it. And even though we missed it, we still wanted to go in, and we went in. And of course, the results are not as good as for photo enhancer, but they are still relevantly good. So you can still catch the wave after it's like a few months. I can tell you an example. For example, like there's this AI photo generation, avatar generation apps like Lensa. They released in like September, November, around that area. They were like huge. The wave, the spike was big, and everybody wanted to create like their own AI avatar. And we entered the market. We've seen it, and I was like, yeah, I can make this app. I know how to make this app, but I just said it. I didn't really ride the wave. And when I finally decided, when we've seen how much profitable they became and how good the app was at the end, we were like, okay, let's get into this market. So we entered the market in February. So like quite a few months later, still we've seen that we have some leftover users that are like the after effect of the wave ripples, but it was not the big tsunami that we could have caught. Even though like now it is an app that is bringing us back the investment, it still didn't bring us back the development investment, the computer investment that we've invested in this type of app. It's called Avatarro, if you want to try it out. It's one of the competition of Lensa, but it is something that it is getting us a profitable app. So it is one of the next uprising app that we have.
And we'll leave a link to that in the description below if you do want to check it out. I've had some fun on it, absolutely. That Zsolt turned me into a Bulgarian woman, and that was quite amusing. But I'd like to speculate with you a little bit and hear a little bit about if you're looking at any waves that might be coming down the pipeline in the next few months, if you're planning any projects or thinking about some ideas that are just around the corner. For me, myself, that I'm noticing that AI video generation is starting to get to the point where it's actually at a quality that can be used in more situations, that we're really at that point where it's just about to tip over. It's basically, I think with video, we're at where we were with images a year ago. And so I think that I'm personally investigating a lot in how you can create very cinematic AI video generations. I've been playing a lot with one process at the moment, which is taking images from Midjourney or the latest Stable Diffusion model and putting them into the text to video version of Runway and getting some really good results. So this is one area that I think is ripe for disruption right now. But I'm curious if there are any projects or speculations that you're exploring or excited about.
Well, that's a really good one. Well, how I'm looking at this as how I learned from my journey is, even though it's really tempting to jump on the technology and create something with it, I really need to have the problem first before jumping in something that exists. Even this video stuff, it's really cool, but I don't really have a genuine problem yet that I can turn into a product or a business. Of course, like creating movies, but then the real question is, what do you niche it down for? Like, it's so generic to create movies. It's for everybody, but for nobody at the same time. So you really need to find that niche, that user group that's gonna be your ambassador group that will take this and go with you. So, well, speculations of which direction. Well, this video is gonna get really good really soon. Um, I'm really looking forward for the singularity, but it's gonna come later on, and I'm not sure if you would ever be able to do a product with it, because singularity is just, it is what it is. Yeah, it's just gonna be the ultimate AI. Well, I don't know if it's speculation or not. Hopefully, within 20 years, we're gonna have it. Well, technology is upcoming. Well, I'm really excited to see this AI going into robotics. I've seen that OpenAI tried it, but they didn't really have time or funds to do that, to pursue it forwards. But one of the next big thing is to go into that area. So there's more like to replace more of what we are as a random human that can do random stuff. So the more it goes to that direction, I'm really excited to see what happens. And I've been into like just a beginner robotic engineer. I've built robots myself, so I might be excited to play around with it, but I'm not sure yet if there's gonna be any products that we're gonna release with that. So it is again, we really need to find a genuine problem. And how I see it, you need to play around with these and create the dots. And the more dots you create, the more dots you can connect. And when you have that problem, you can build the connection with the problem and the solution.
I love that concept of developing a mental map of dots in your mind, of having this understanding of the state of technology and also a number of different pain points that exist and problems, and keeping that repertoire, that encyclopedia, that library of those different issues together, so you're ready when the opportunity is there to immediately make that connection and then implement. Because I think right now, obviously, there is a huge opportunity to essentially connect a lot of the new technologies that have just been developed in the last year in new and original ways. And I want to reflect a little bit on the conversation that we've had this afternoon. And I want to say that it's been very interesting to hear about your journey, Zsolt. I think you're a very inspiring character to talk to, because you've done a lot of very interesting things. And what I particularly admire about the way you approach this is it always feels to me that you are approaching this with a sense of adventure and a sense of excitement, a sense of wonderment, and that one of your motivations, this is my story, so this is my own opinion of you, is that you focus a lot on what there is to learn, to understand, and to bring into manifestation. About the outcome can be just in the process of creating things, as well as also seeing your ideas come to reality. And I particularly like and appreciate this value in you. And I see that you have a real optimistic mindset with all processes that you engage in. And I find that to be a wonderful mindset for an entrepreneur, for an individual, for a creative. And hearing your experiences about how you've gone through so many different projects and learning each time and developing your skill set. And even now, recognizing that you being a programmer does not best serve your company going forward. And although perhaps that's something that you've done a lot of your life, that has been part of your career, that you're willing to let go of that identity to move to a higher purpose. And for me personally, I admire that a lot, because sometimes I struggle with that, with recognizing I need to move out of a certain part of my business, to move on from a certain role. And that for a long time I was working as a designer, and I saw that so much as part of my identity of who I was, that I really found solace in that. And it was only through releasing that and letting go of that that I actually allowed myself to grow in new directions. So seeing you do that is a real inspiration. And obviously now you've had AI apps with millions of downloads, and it's been a real pleasure talking with you this afternoon. And I would like to invite you just to share if there is anywhere you would like people to go to find out more about you and your projects.
Oh, well, these projects are not fully tied to me. It's not like you open the app and you see my face popping up, but you can, like, hey, it's me, Zsolt. But you can find more about collabs.com. That's our company that we develop with. There are the apps that we make. They are listed there, or you can follow me on Instagram, Kallos Zsolti. Links down below, and LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok. I mean, for
the whole thing.
Yeah,
Anywhere.
I mean, I'm not really there on TikTok, but if you want to keep in touch, if you are on the same journey as I was or I am, just give me a message, and we're gonna hit it, and we're gonna figure out what can we come up together, what can we solve together. Maybe I can give you my 50 cents, and then it helps you a lot, or maybe not. And I'm gonna try my best to guide you along your way. If you're stuck, just hit me up.
I can say Zsolt is a particularly open individual and willing to engage with other people. And one example of this is that me and Zsolt were recently on a cruise ship at a conference a few months ago, and we were on the waves, and there was half the cruise ship was filled with these Italian grandmothers who were spending away most of their money. And then there was a keyboard player and a singer, and me and Zsolt were there, and we decided to start dancing. And then suddenly these grandmothers were starting to really enjoy our eccentric dancing moves, and they were getting really into it, and they were applauding and singing and shouting at us. And then we stopped, and there was a rapturous desire for an encore, and all of these hundreds of grandmothers were shouting at us to continue our dancing for them. And this is one of the reasons I particularly enjoy hanging out with Zsolt, because it's a real pleasure to engage with the world with you and to be unafraid to show up and create things. And on that note, I would like to thank you very much for joining me today, Zsolt, and do check out the links in the description to find out more. Okay.
Bye.
Goodbye.